SMTV Nashville.
This is NBC Nightly News with Gerald Harrington and Jessica Savage.
Good evening. The Russians opened the third decade of the space age today by blasting 2 cosmonauts into space. The 2 men, both rookies, will try to link up with an orbiting space station. Paul Cunningham narrates this report.
The Soyuz spacecraft was launched from the same site in Central Asia from which the world's first satellite, Sputnik, took off 20 years ago. This latest launching was to commemorate that and the 60th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution next month. The launching was not announced until the spacecraft was safely in orbit. The 2 newest Soviet cosmonauts are craft commander Vladimir Kovalyanov, a former Air Force parachuting instructor, and Valery Ryumin, a former Army engineer. The mission of the cosmonauts is to rendezvous with the Soviet space station launched 10 days ago. Paul Cunningham, NBC News.
One of the cosmonauts reportedly said, "Ours is a simple mission to learn as much as possible about Earth so that we can contribute to making life on Earth better." Jessica.
The 35-nation East-West Conference goes into a closed session in Belgrade, Yugoslavia this week. The communists have been rejecting a U.S. proposal for separate discussions of human rights, military, and economic questions. It's the human rights one that's causing the most conflict. It prompted the Soviet newspaper Pravda to accuse the United States and the Netherlands of spoiling an atmosphere of friendship and cooperation during the first week of the conference. A conference on air security has put an end to the 1969 joke, the one that went Flight 001 leaving for Miami to New York via Havana, Cuba. 1969 was the worst year for hijackings in the United States, 40 of them, 33 of them successful. So far this year, there were only 2 hijackings in the United States, and both of them unsuccessful. Airport officials credit stepped-up security measures and metal detectors for their success.
Daffy?
Oh, I don't dare, Mrs. Adams.
Why not?
Dentures.
Aren't you Daffy? I have dentures. I use fast teeth powder. It's 100% natural. Gives your dentures a firm hold that feels a little more natural, more like your own teeth. Makes eating a pleasure.
I use fast teeth powder. It does hold firm, and it does feel natural. A pound of taffy.
Fast teeth, for a firm hold that feels more like your own teeth.
It's a natural.
Have you discovered the mysterious beauty fluid that creates a moist climate for your skin to help you look younger without a greasy feeling? Well, then discover Oil of Olay. You see, pure moisture, tropical oil, and emollients disappear into your skin, easing dryness to help you look radiant and younger without a greasy feeling. Isn't it time you discovered the mysterious beauty fluid?
Discover the secret of Oil of Olay. It can help you look younger, too.
And it penetrates very quickly.
Little did Mildred realize.
Now you can listen to your favorite TV programs on a radio. GE's FM AM digital clock radio with TV sound.
Taxes are up more than...
You can also listen to TV programs on GE's 7-band portable radio with TV sound. In fact, you can hear your favorite TV programs on 5 GE radios, TV band radios from General Electric.
A week from Monday, the Port Authority of New York will have another round of public hearings on the advisability of landing this plane, the Concorde SST at Kennedy Airport. But the attorney for citizens opposing the Concorde says those hearings will resolve nothing. We've had public hearings ad nauseum, says Brian Levinson. The problem is nobody up there listens to you. Well, up there are the courts. And some demonstrators took steps today to make sure that the next court that hears that case, the Supreme Court, gets the message. Robert Bazell reports.
This was the 6th time in a year and a half that the access roads to Kennedy Airport have been tied up by opponents of the Concorde. Most of today's several hundred demonstrators live near the airport. The protesters tied up airport traffic very successfully. A few travelers tried to escape the traffic jam, But most people just sat in their cars and stewed.
They're just stopping progress. That's all they're doing. They're just trying to stop a lot of progress.
Are you trying to get a plane?
Yeah, I suppose to catch a plane right now. I don't know if I'm going to reach in time.
The demonstrators say that if the U.S. Supreme Court and the New York Port Authority allow the Concorde to land, they will stop it from landing themselves.
Eliminate it. Why? Because it's too noisy. Vibrates the house.
The weather is playing against
it will go to destruction to the whole area.
Our 2 years of...
It's got to be banded. SST out.
Okay. Good. The police tried to keep traffic moving, but to no avail. The demonstrators say they will keep protesting until the Concorde is finally canceled. Robert Bazell, NBC News at Kennedy Airport, New York.
Former Budget Director Bert Lance is back in the news. The New York newspaper Newsday reports that Lance's bank, the National Bank of Georgia, got more than $1 million worth of U.S. government deposits this year, while all other national banks in that state got a total of only $39,000. Lance says he doesn't know anything about the deposits, and the Treasury Department says those deposits were not government money, but assets of bankrupt corporations set aside by federal bankruptcy referees. Anyway, Newsday says those federal deposits are federal deposits.
Well, Gerald, among those advising President Carter during the Bert Lance affair was Vice President Walter Mondale. That situation was not the only one in which Mondale played an important part. But that has not always been so with vice presidents. Many have served out their terms in relative obscurity. But as John Cochran reports, that's not the case with Walter Mondale.
Some called them the odd couple, but they were no odder than a lot of others who've run together on national tickets. And like the others, this was partly a marriage of convenience. Carter needed a Northern liberal. In return, he promised that Mondale would be a working vice president. He kept his promise. After the inauguration, Mondale was sent off on a round-the-world trip. Other vice presidents have traveled abroad, but few, if any, have had Mondale's authority to negotiate tough issues like trade and nuclear proliferation. And at home, Mondale has lobbied hard for the president, trying with mixed success to change the votes of congressmen who know Mondale much better than they know Jimmy Carter. Unlike other number twos, Mondale has his own office in the White House. And he spends a lot of time with the president, advising him on everything from the Bert Lance affair to tax cuts. Mondale admits that Mr. Carter does not always take his advice, and that the administration's economic policies are a little more conservative than he would have liked.
I would, frankly, want them slightly more stimulative. I think it's a matter of record that I argued for the $50 rebate for additional stimulation. The president, it was a close case. The president, partly because of suggestions from the Congress, felt that that wasn't appropriate.
This past week, Mondale was busy at his only constitutional job, presiding over the Senate. He angered some of his old liberal allies by ordering an end to the filibuster against natural gas deregulation. But except for rare instances like this, the power any vice president has is what the president lets him have.
The President of the United States.
Jimmy Carter realizes that Mondale can be useful to him only if the public and Congress think Mondale is close to him. So Mr. Carter has gone out of his way to emphasize that Mondale is not just another ineffectual vice president.
There has never been, I believe, as close a relationship between a president and a vice president as exists in our country today, and I'm very proud of him.
How easy are you with the president in private? Are the two of you becoming close friends now?
I think so, and it seems that bond grows all the time. And that's one of the things I find most comforting. He takes criticism and suggestions well. I think he appreciates candor, and he doesn't like to waste his time. When I feel very deeply about an issue, as I often do, I will be very direct and with him, and I think he appreciates that.
Several months ago, I seem to recall you saying that you had heard that when President Carter is unhappy with somebody, he gives them a pretty cold stare. And you said at that point, you had not seen that cold stare directed at you. Have you seen it now?
I've seen it a couple of times, yes.
Can you tell us about it?
It's a cold stare.
It really is.
It's hard to describe other than that. But he's been very good to me.
Some presidents have kept their vice presidents on a short leash. That has not been the case with Mondale. But he has been smart enough not to abuse his freedom. He knows just how far he can go without provoking one of Mr. Carter's cold stares. John Cochran, NBC News, the White House.
Israel's foreign minister, Moshe Dayan, said today his country won't go to any Geneva conference that includes the Palestine Liberation Organization. But Egypt's foreign minister, Ismail Fahmy, said there won't be any Geneva conference if the PLO is not included. One of Dayan's predecessors, Abba Eban, held a news conference in Atlanta today. Bob Jimenez was there.
Former Israeli Foreign Minister Abba Eban, who says he finds many Americans concerned over the outcome of a permanent Middle East settlement. During the past 4 weeks, he's lectured at a number of American universities, telling his audiences it is time to put away the rhetoric and turn toward meaningful diplomacy. Addressing reporters at Emory University today, Eban said President Carter's support of Palestinian rights should not be considered an obstacle to Middle East peace negotiations at Geneva.
Now, when you speak of the rights of the Palestine Arabs, the question is how those rights are defined. Those rights do not include anything that would have an adverse impact on Israel's security, independence, and integrity. The central moral imperative in the Middle Eastern dispute is not Palestine, but Israel.
Eban also said Russian involvement at Geneva is a necessary reality. As a major force to contend with, Russia was brought into negotiations early. Says Eban, leaving them out in the past or the future would not prove feasible. Eban said once the Geneva talks begin, he hopes they will be an ongoing part of the settlement. In Eban's words, it is now time to be urgent in action and patient in purpose. Bob Jimenez, NBC News, Atlanta.
Residents of the United States will see a partial eclipse of the sun Wednesday afternoon. The best view, smack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And 885 people who call themselves eclipse freaks are paying between $1,700 and $1,700 to go out and see it. In Washington tomorrow, more hearings on the Panama Canal. Admiral Elmo Zumwalt and General Maxwell Taylor are expected to tell the Senate Foreign Relations Committee the treaty will not damage U.S. security. Also tomorrow, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize will be announced. It's expected to go to someone working in the field of human rights.
Sarah knows how to make me feel I'm all together. Sarah knows how to sparkle up my day. Sarah knows how. Sarah Coventry.
Get your jewelry know-how where I got mine at a Sarah Coventry home show. For when and where, call. Sarah's in the yellow pages under jewelers.
Because Sarah knows how. You'll know how.
I really enjoy my family because I don't neglect myself.
I've never been happier. To be good at anything, you gotta be good to yourself. So I eat right, exercise, and to make sure I get enough iron and vitamins, I take Geritol.
Geritol for iron and important vitamins. And now you can get special savings on Geritol at stores where you shop. Take a look at people who take Geritol every day. Try Geritol soon yourself and save.
Want to know my personal secret for making deliciously thin crepes? It's this: precisely controlled heat. I get it with the Monsieur Crepe Maker from Sunbeam. It's almost foolproof, and it even becomes a nice little fry pan. So now, I can make perfect crepes with a little help from my friend Monsieur Crepe. It's from Sunbeam. I really love their quality.
There is what you might call a varied menu of sports this Sunday, ranging from the Miami-Baltimore football game all the way to a Goodwill dinner in a Chinese restaurant near Dick Shap.
The New York Yankees face the Kansas City Royals this evening in the decisive fifth game of the American League playoffs, and the winner goes on to face the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series. No matter how fierce the rivalry between the Yankees and the Royals, and it is fierce, they'll be hard-pressed to match the drama and the heroics provided this afternoon by two football teams, the Baltimore Colts and the Miami Dolphins. The first play from scrimmage set the tone for the game. Baltimore's Lydell Mitchell broke loose and sprinted 64 yards to give his team a quick lead in this duel between unbeaten teams. Baltimore's lead lasted only long enough for Miami's Freddie Solomon to gather in the ensuing kickoff and carry the ball back 90 yards, tying the game. It was a game of sudden individual explosions, this battle for first place in the Eastern Division of the American Football Conference, and no one was more explosive than Miami's Benny Malone. Malone, who gained 134 yards rushing just in the first half, got 52 of those yards on this touchdown run that broke the 7-7 tie. His next touchdown run was even longer, this play covering 66 yards and giving Miami what seemed to be a comfortable lead, 28-10. But favored Baltimore, playing at home, was not about to quit. Burt Jones, the Colts' gifted young quarterback, went swiftly to work. This touchdown pass to Glenn Doughty cut Miami's lead to 11 points. Still in the first half, Jones connected with Raymond Chester to bring Baltimore within 4 points, 28-24. In the second half, Baltimore completely dominated Miami. Jones put his team in front with this pass to Don McCauley, and the Colts rolled on to a stunning 45-28 victory. Jones completed 18 of 30 passes. Mitchell ran for 142 yards. Two of Baltimore's eastern rivals, the Jets and New England, evened their records at 2-2, the Jets coming from behind to keep Buffalo without a victory. Houston took over first place in the AFC's rugged Central Division, Dan Pastorini passing Houston to victory before spraining his right ankle. Pittsburgh lost its quarterback, Terry Bradshaw, with a broken wrist. Oakland kept pace with Denver, unbeaten in the AFC West. Minnesota, with Fran Tarkenton throwing 2 touchdown passes, took sole possession of first place in the Central Division of the National Conference. Surprising San Diego has now won 3 games in a row. On the international front, in the Canadian Grand Prix, Mario Andretti of the United States had a 2-mile lead with 2 laps to go. Then engine trouble forced him out of the race and gave South Africa's Jody Scheckter the victory. Yesterday, we mentioned that the Cosmos of New York and the People's Republic of China, after playing a 1-1 tie in soccer, went out to dinner together in New York. The dinner was a victory for both sides.
Obey. Wonderful game. Very good.
The opposing goalies sat side by side, and if anything symbolized the goodwill of the occasion, it was their traditional handshake. And if anything symbolized the good humor of the occasion, it was the American Shep Messing's attempt to teach his Chinese counterpart a more spirited handshake. After the handshakes and the laughter came the dinner, a sumptuous feast, course after course of the most tempting Chinese delicacies, all prepared in the finest Manhattan style. The Chinese demonstrated athletic dexterity in their use of chopsticks and Spartan stamina in responding to toast after toast with great gulps of wine. The Chinese presented a miniature soccer ball to Pelé, who ended his playing career with the Cosmos last week. And Pelé, the man with the magic feet, demonstrated why soccer players never use their hands. The World Series starts Tuesday. The Yankees or Kansas City against the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team led by rookie manager named Tom Lasorda, who loves baseball, loves his team, loves his job, and most of all, loves to talk.
I'm proud that I could be working for the greatest organization in baseball, and above all, I'm even prouder because I'm associated with 25 outstanding players and outstanding young men. Hey, I'm enjoying it. I'm the luckiest man in the world, and every morning when I open my eyes, I thank the big Dodger in the sky because I'm able to do what I'm doing. And believe me this, Dick, when I say this, that it can only happen in this great nation of ours where the third-string pitcher on a high school team, Norristown High School team, and the son of an Italian immigrant can go on to become the manager of the greatest organization in baseball.
Tom Lasorda, the big Dodger in the dugout. Gerald?
Thanks. The Commerce Department reported today that the federal, state, and local governments collected more than $358 billion worth of taxes for the 1975-76 fiscal year. That was $28 billion more than the year before. A little over half of all of that money went to the federal government. And if you've always wondered what the fastest growing country in the world is, the answer is Kuwait. A report just out today says that Kuwait, which has a lot of oil, will double its population to more than 2 million in the next 10 years.
walking alone in my naturalizers. It's just that kind of day.
Rent a bike, lady?
No, thanks. I'd rather walk.
Here for a ride?
No, thanks. I'd rather walk. Naturalizing? Naturalizers. I should have known.
No thanks, I'd rather walk the naturalizer way. Naturalizer.
This can't be coffee cause it tastes so smooth.
They took the bitter taste out.
This can't be coffee cause it tastes so smooth.
How'd they take the bitter taste out?
New Mellow Roast starts with 3 kinds of rich, robust coffees, then blends in roasted grain to take away the bitter edge.
This can't be coffee cause it tastes so smooth.
Enjoy a delicious, full-flavored coffee taste with Mellow Roast coffee and grain beverage.
They took the bitter taste out.
For red, sore, itching problem hands, what's the working lotion?
The working lotion? For me, it's Vaseline Intensive Care. The extra strength.
Smells clean, not flowery, like a working lotion should.
Doctors proved it. Extra strength really works on problem hands from too much moisture loss. Hey, I need a lotion that works. Don't you?
Extra strength for problem hands. Just one reason Vaseline Intensive Care is
The working lotion.
In Monte Carlo this weekend, 5 plush railroad coaches from the Orient Express were auctioned off. The last trip together for the grand old cars was to the auctioning block, and John Palmer was on the train.
The station in Nice was crowded with celebrities, train buffs, and royalty for what was billed as a last nostalgic voyage by some of the old luxury cars of the French railroad before they were sold at auction. The royalty was represented by Princess Grace of Monaco, who joined 100 other guests for breakfast and the 40-minute trip along the Riviera to Monte Carlo. But much of the nostalgia wore off abruptly when the parlor car filled with black smoke. The chef was having a bit of trouble in the kitchen with the coal-burning stove. Earlier this year, when the Orient Express made its last voyage across Europe, the railroad received a number of letters from people asking if they could buy one of the old cars. One man from Texas even telephoned saying he wanted to buy the whole train. There was so much interest, they decided to hold an auction. After the train arrived in Monte Carlo, prospective buyers were allowed to inspect the 3 sleeping cars, 1 dining car, and a parlor car, all to be sold individually. When the auction got underway, only half a dozen people took part in the bidding. The parlor car went first for $70,000. One of the bidders, an Englishman, complained that he would have paid more for the parlor car, but couldn't understand the French-speaking auctioneer. The other 4 cars went for a total of $200,000. 2 of the old railroad cars went to an American, James Sherwood of Lexington, Kentucky. He wants to use them to carry tourists from London to Venice.
Well, we own a luxury hotel in Venice, the Hotel Cipriani, and we're planning to run a classic train from London to Paris to Venice and back once a week. And this train will be staffed by our hotel in Venice.
A Swiss businessman was high bidder for the dining car, which will become part of a special train he's putting together to run between Zurich and Istanbul. As always, there is mystery connected with the Orient Express. This man who bought the parlor and sleeping cars preferred to remain anonymous. He hurried away from the auction saying only, "I am a Frenchman, and the cars will remain in France." John Palmer, NBC News, Monte Carlo.
Well, older is very often better when it comes to antique cars, and also when it brings the type of retired life enjoyed by the residents of Erikasa, a tiny Greek island off the coast of Albania. The 400 residents of this island all live on United States Social Security checks. Steve Delaney visited Erikasa and found that it's not what the islanders get that counts, but what they don't get.
Most Greek islands pride themselves on what they can offer to the visitor. This one prides itself on offering nothing. On Erikasa, there are no restaurants, no hotels, there are no police, there is no fire department, there are no locks, there is no crime, no traffic jams, because there are no cars and no roads. What there is here is quiet. If you want to go somewhere on Erikasa, you walk there. If you want to move something, you carry it. If you want seafood, you go out and get it. If you need water, you pull it up. Most of the 400 people who live here are American citizens. 100 years ago, a man from this island jumped ship in New York, went to work, and began sending for his family. The men have been going to New York ever since, working as waiters and bartenders, because there is no work here. And yet the Greek Americans keep coming back here, leaving the land of plenty for the island of nothing. Now Erikasa lives on their pension checks, because the island produces nothing at all. Nearly everybody turns out to meet the boat from Corfu. It brings people home, and it brings in everything they need, even bread. The boatman's wife calls the names of those who ordered a loaf or two. There are a few donkeys to bear the heavy loads, but they eat imported hay because the island does not even grow enough food for its own animals. Some of the more Americanized men complain that the Greek government does not do enough for this island. The harbor is too small, too shallow, and unsafe in bad weather. The progressives believe that if the government would give them a good harbor, tourists would come here and they'd all make money. Others are not sure that's true. They've seen the beaches of New York and they prefer beaches this way. They've lived in crowded apartment blocks where they could not see a tree, and they prefer to live this way. They've been afraid on the sidewalks of big cities, and they prefer to walk this way. Maybe they come home simply because Erikasa is so completely the opposite of New York. Steve Delaney, NBC News, on the Greek island of Erikasa.
And that's our news program for tonight. John Chancellor and David Brinkley will be here tomorrow. I'm Gerald Harrington.
And I'm Jessica Savage. Thanks for watching, and good night for all of us at NBC News.
Cicely Tyson for Color Track by RCA.
My rose is red, my skin is dark brown, and my dress is bright orange. If these colors don't look right to you, you should know about Color Track from RCA. Getting the color right is what Color Track is all about. It actually adjusts the colors and locks them on track.
Before you see the Color Track system grabs it, aligns it, defines it, sharpens it, tones it, and locks the color on track.
RCA is making television better and better.
Think I'll get a little sandwich, Blondie.
Dad would just love sandwiches, and he insists on Kraft natural slices, like Swiss or Munster. They're sliced fresh from the block, so you get a fresher slice and fresher flavor. Oh, he loves Kraft singles, too, with that great American flavor. Value and satisfaction. These days, that's important, and Kraft slices give you your money's worth.
Want a bite, Blondie?
America spells change, K-R-A-F-T.
Races with death when there's a mysterious killer on board. Patty Duke Aston, Claude Akins, George Hamilton, Frank Converse, and Susan Howard, dying one at a time. Killer on board. Tomorrow at 9, 8 Central and Mountain, right after a brand new Laugh-In special.
Here's your diet suffering, honey.
She made a mistake.
She said it was a diet soft drink.
But this tastes fattening.
Everybody says it tastes too good to be true.
It's sugar-free Dr. Pepper.
It's sugar-free Dr. Pepper.
It tastes too good to be true.